I do not view abortion as a choice and a right. I think it's always a tragedy, and I think that it should be rare and safe. And I think we should be focusing on how to limit the number of abortions, and they ought to be able to have a common ground and consensus as to do that. I do not view abortion as a choice and a right. I think it's always a tragedy, and I think that it should be rare and safe. And I think we should be focusing on how to limit the number of abortions, and they ought to be able to have a common ground and consensus as to do that. I do not view abortion.
I'll just loop it twice. Welcome to a special Friday edition of You Left Shit Out. I'm one of your hosts today, Compton J. I'm joined right now by Zoya Islove. How you doing, Zoya?
I'm good. This was an expected thing coming, and I'm so happy to be here with you today to cover it.
Absolutely. And just FYI, Nick, oh, wow, he's already here. I was going to say in a little bit, but when he's ready, I'll let you put yourself in. Nick will also be joining us in a little bit. But I just thought, Zoya watching the coverage of what we already knew was happening. So the shock of it happening is not the same, but it is this sort of push what Democrats are coming out trying to be, the town crier for what's happening. It's like you've been here in the room this entire time while this entire strategy has unfolded, similar to like gerrymandering. They've been here and they have been silent or weak, but that's the design of the game. But what's your initial reaction, Zoya, and then we'll get Nick in here, to just what Democrats are saying, their response that you've seen so far today?
Well, we can't vote ourselves out of a situation we didn't vote ourselves into. 5 out of 9 justices were appointed by presidents who lost the popular vote. By 2040, 70 senators will represent 30% of the population, and 30 senators will represent 70% of the population. So the system is rigged. And of course, abortion and guns have become the wedge issues used every election cycle. And we do have midterms coming up. So instead of dealing with inflation, which is really price gouging, the fact that people can't afford food, the fact that people can't afford rent, why not just do this fear-mongering tactic?
Exactly. And thank you for that, Zoya. I completely agree, but let's bring in my brother, Nick. What's up, Nick? And what's your reaction also?
What's poppin'? What's up, my friends and family? I had to join the stream today. I wanted to take like today, not to like watch the news, because I had a long week of streaming, but obviously there was a giant news hit today. I told you guys always, I use any opportunity to try to shift the Overton window to the left, and there are a lot of people who are sympathetic to the Democratic Party who now coming to the conclusion that our institutions are inherently broken, right? So I want you guys to realize that this is an opportunity for revolutionary education, and I've been tweeting this all day, right? Like, this will always be the end result of capitalism, a giant state that steals people's rights away, with the barrel of the gun. And what is the mechanism that causes this? The best way that capitalists can gain power is by they appease the extremists that they create. Poverty breeds extremism. So as a country continues to shift more into late-stage capitalism, and you need more workers that are being oppressed, a larger amount of people that are being shut down by the system, you have more radical beliefs that spread. You get more racists, you get more hardcore evangelicals, right? That are willing to push and escalate state, especially in this moment. And I want to show you guys this. Hold on, I just saw this.
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna get to the analysis in terms of like the politics of this later, but I can't pass on the revolutionary education. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this scene in this country. And if the liberals that say, "Oh my God, so does MMA," RB, and their politics is just U.S. bad. Do you guys know why now? Is it clear why my politics is U.S. bad now? Do the people who have anyway? Let me show you this. Let me show you guys this. Audio is not needed. This is our fascist police state on the way to the court. They're not on the way to the court to protect your rights. They're on their way to the court to protect the oligarchy that is stealing your rights. Do you guys see why we have our radical politics? Our radical politics is to prevent acceleration theory. Because we warn people this, CJ. We tell people what happens under a capitalist state. And people are like, oh my God, you're just being dramatic. They're gonna take our rights away using militaristic force? Yes motherfucker. If you guys listen to us, we will prevent these kind of things from happening. And remember what we said earlier on CJ, Nick, what would it take for us to have revolutionary change? Unfortunately, it takes shit to get bad. And that literally what it takes because there's been so much propaganda. Unfortunately, I've been revolutionary. Them motherfuckers like hit the streets, fuck the system. I'm like, we've been there. I'm glad you woke up. I'm glad this is the issue that made people realize that they got to oppose the system. Liberals saying, go ahead, CJ.
No, I'm saying I was just gonna piggyback on what you're saying. I mean, you literally have something like 80-something% support, and you can only have that with a substantial amount of conservatives or people who would label themselves as Republicans saying yes, abortion should be legal, should be a constitutional right, and then you have a court system. This is almost like the definition of fascism: a court system appointed by the oligarch. Remember, these are unelected representatives in there for life. There's so many. When we keep talking about, I'm gonna go off on a rant, but when we talk about freedoms, there's so many impediments to freedom that's embedded in the system. One is called the Supreme Court. The other is called the Senate. Both direct, like for the Senate, for example, that's a direct birth out of slavery. And people don't want to talk about that, but that's a direct thing born out of slavery because slave owners wanted to have power and they know they were losing it by popular vote or popular thought. So they thought of the Senate as a way of still keeping their power. And now it's just rich. That's why the richest people can only run for Senate. The people who can garner the most money. But before we go on and before I go back to you, Zoya, we jump right into the conversation. Let's do a chat check and just do a stream check. Make sure everything sounds good. Nobody's complaining about the sound. It looks good. And if you didn't know, we're going to be talking about Roe v. Wade, but let me just break down some of the topics here. This decision, Democrats own this decision. And that's what we'll break that kind of down or talk about that. Democrats' answer to this is, of course, vote harder, vote for them. I mean, they're out like quickly. I've never seen such a deployment of almost like they already had this plan because they knew it was coming. And then Joe Biden, the guy who provided some of the quotes that people are quoting to put the most fear in us, like all of these other rights are going to tumble. Joe Biden is responsible for that guy being in office. So we're going to be covering all of that and all of the surrounding topics. Zoya, I saw a lot of your receipts that you posted in the DM. So whenever you want me to go to those, let me know. But let's do a couple of chats, throw a couple of comments up just to make sure everything looks good in our comments. I like this one. The Supreme Court is begging to be overthrown. A revolution. I can add that in there too. They're begging for it. They're absolutely begging for it. Oops, skipped over. Welcome to the beginning of the Handmaid's Tale. The Democrats want to lose, whatever that means. What's another one? This is the one I was earlier going to try to click on. Rome 2024. Another one, Rome 2024. Let's throw up one more. Let's see. Question is, how long are people going to keep their energy? Are they going to with the trend for now? What I took from that is that are they going to keep this energy or are they just going to let it die out? Like, are they going to take advantage of this energy or are they just going to let it die out?
Remember, the shitlib said they said we're going to revolt if the Supreme Court overturns Roe v. Wade. Right. Now is the time to put up or shut up. Now's the time
Right.
to put up a show. We see if they're really serious about it. I don't know if you saw the clip. I'm definitely gonna play it later if you haven't. Of the House Democrats singing "We God Bless America" in response to this.
Yes.
So I'm very interested in seeing their response because it's something that was
No,
on their bucket list. Now,
it's a bunch of video clips that we got to play today. But go ahead.
Yeah. This is a tragedy, guys. But to me, this is like our community like never had rights. Like black women, brown women, we never had the rights that bourgeoisie white women had. So this is another example of them chipping away at their white rights. There are a lot of people that are freaking out now because they were like near the top of the caste system, where it is like the first time they've seen their rights taken away. Guys, this is nothing new from black and brown people and people who are at the bottom of the caste system. I'm telling you. So I'm glad that this is the opportunity that people have to wake up, right? Whatever it takes.
Right. And Zoya says she sent you a video. Did you have that queued up yet or not yet? If you don't, because I have something queued up, I can play it. It's like a 10-second video.
Yeah,
I'm going to play the longer version. Yeah, I'm going to play the longer version of this, but let's just to kind of kickstart the conversation, just so you can see the differences, right? So you hear him here, and then you saw the intro video. So let's listen to the short snippet of him speaking. Wait, you know what? We'll listen to it anyway. This might be the wrong one because I don't remember it being that long, but let's listen.
We need to restore the protections of ROE as law of the land. We need to elect officials who will do that. This fall, ROE is on the ballot. Personal freedoms are on the ballot. The right to privacy, liberty, equality, they're all on the ballot. Until then, I will do all of my power to protect a woman's right in states where they will face the consequences of today's decision.
He is so careful with his words. I mean, he is so careful with his words. It's unbelievable. But the part I'm going to show you later when we get to the full speech, what made me say, hey, I have to do a stream is when he's specifically calling out for you not to be revolutionary. When he says, hey, we don't want this we don't want protest, like we don't really want you taking it that far. When he starts saying that, I'm like, wow, people having their rights taken away, and you're saying not to be revolutionary because you just want their votes. They just want to kick this down the line so they can keep having it as an issue to keep us wedged against each other, fighting us against each other while they run off to the bank. Just my 2 cents, but go ahead, Nick.
So yeah, this is. I'm gonna let the video play a little bit more. I think I can find the clip where he says it as well, maybe. But this is the message that coming from the liberals. Despite here it is. I actually did it. I quote here. I'm gonna show you guys the shorter version, the clip. I think you were trying to find. Here it is. This is the message that's coming from the liberal establishment as the Supreme Court is. This might be it. They stole our Fourth Amendment rights. Our First Amendment rights have been stolen a while ago. Freedom of press is under assault. Now our Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, but liberals are telling us to die quietly. So I'm gonna turn the audio on here and let's watch it.
I call on everyone, no matter how deeply they care about this decision, to keep all protests peaceful. Peaceful, peaceful, peaceful. No intimidation. Violence is never acceptable. Threats and intimidation are not speech. We must stand against violence in any form, regardless of your rationale.
Civility politics.
They say this while they had snipers on the Supreme Court. You guys know that? They had snipers on the Supreme Court watching protesters. They say that while they have an armed militia marching on behalf of the Supreme Court and the capitalists to intimidate the protesters. Meanwhile, Joe Biden says intimidation is never acceptable. Meanwhile, he is sending the state. They are sending the state to intimidate and inflict violence on people who are they are using their First Amendment right, their freedom of speech right, to show their disapproval of the government. The same people who will say violence is never the answer. Was violence not the answer for you when you guys wanted to invade Iraq? Isn't it funny how they always they want us to believe this in one way, where only the proletariat, violence is never the answer.
Right.
But if we
Right.
want to get what we want, if you are resisting arrest, we're going to beat the shit out of you. We're going to kill you if you resist arrest. If there's a country who rather do have diplomatic ties with Russia and China, we will kill them. So isn't it funny how violence is never the answer to us? But whenever they need to accomplish their means, it's on the table.
And let's make sure we clarify the semantics. When he says violence, they mean revolution or protest. Because remember, what we call an action, a protest against the government, they're labeling as violence. That's what they're talking about. So let's not just understand the way they're framing is not our reality. That's just the framing that they're trying to use. Now, I do have the full video here. It's not long, so I do want to, listen to the whole thing. I'm going to stop it a couple of times. I already know I am, because I want to stop in specific parts. So if either of you, have something, some place you want me to stop, please let me know. But Zoya, before I start the video, what have you been, you've heard, sort of what the conversation has gone. What is your thoughts, or do you have any other comments before we play the full speech here?
Well, I've been warning people that we're going to end up here because it's the same playbook every single time, guns and abortions. So that we can ignore everything that's actually impacting our daily lives. And not that these issues don't matter. I'm a woman. Obviously, I believe in legalized abortion. But having revolutionary discipline means that they can't weaponize issues that are so important to us in order to force us to ignore everything else in our economic and social conditions. And that's exactly what they do. So once I declared that I'm not voting for Democrats or Republicans, and I was always a third party voter, there was nothing that could sway me. There's nothing anyone can say or do, because I'm fully aware that we're in a duopoly where both parties serve the same corporate masters, and they are just toying with our rights to force us to vote against our interests. And I'm not going to let them do it.
That's called revolutionary discipline, and we all need to learn that from Zoya, myself included. So let's listen to what he says. Please like this stream. Let's get some more people in there. I think we have about 110 likes, but we got 200. So we can actually add another 50 to 100 likes. Let's shoot for 50, although we can get to 100, but let's shoot for 50. Let's go to 158 or 160. I'm sorry. Will be 650. Now let's play the full version of his speech. Let's listen.
States expressly took away a constitutional right from the American people that it had already recognized. They didn't limit it, they simply took it away. That's never been done to a right so important to so many Americans, but they did it. It's a sad day for the court and for the country. 50 years ago, Roe v. Wade was decided and has been the law of the land since then. This landmark case protected women's right to choose, her right to make intensely personal decisions with her doctor, free from the interference of politics. It reaffirmed basic principles of equality, that women have the power to control their own destiny, and it reinforced a fundamental right of privacy, the right of each of us to choose how to live our lives. Now, with Roe gone, let's be very clear. The health and life of women in this nation are now at risk. As chairman and ranking member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, as vice president and now as president of the United States, I've studied this case carefully. I've overseen more Supreme Court confirmations than anyone today, where this case was always discussed. I believe Roe v. Wade was the correct decision as a matter of constitutional law and application of the fundamental right to privacy and liberty in matters of family and personal autonomy. It was a decision on a complex matter that drew a careful balance between a woman's right to choose earlier in her pregnancy and the state's ability to regulate later in her pregnancy. A decision with broad national consensus that most Americans of faith and backgrounds found acceptable, that have been the law of the land for most of the lifetime of Americans today. And it was
I just gotta say, like, the overall vibe, this is not the speech of a person who is out front saying, I want this to remain a constitutional right. It just feels like a person who just kind of I'm just saying the words, in the language and how he's describing it. That's the vibe that I get. But let's continue with it.
It was a constitutional principle upheld by justices appointed by Democrat and Republican presidents alike. Roe v. Wade was a 7-2 decision written by a justice appointed by a Republican president, Richard Nixon. In the 5 decades that followed Roe v. Wade, justices appointed by Republican presidents from Eisenhower, Nixon, and Reagan, George W. Bush, were among the justices who voted to uphold the principles set forth in Roe v. Wade. It was 3 justices named by 1 president, Donald Trump, who were the core of today's decision to upend the scales of justice and eliminate a fundamental right for women in this country.
So I just want to point out that's going to be point 1 in their fundraising, and their talking point is that this was done not by our failure over several decades of not codifying this. This was done because Trump was able to.
The fundraiser emails are already out.
Right. Trump was able to appoint 3 judges, and that's why we're still fighting Trump. That's how they're going to try to spin this. I just hope, and I'm praying that more liberals will see through that type of rhetoric that's coming. And like you said, that's already here. Sabby, I'm going to bring her text up after the speech, but Sabby actually put on Twitter the actual fundraising letter she was already sent. So we'll pull that up and read it for the audience.
Make no mistake, this decision is a culmination of a deliberate effort over decades to upset balance of our law. It's a realization of an extreme ideology and a tragic error by the Supreme Court, in my view. The court has done what it has never done before, expressly take away a constitutional right that is so fundamental to so many Americans that had already been recognized. The court's decision to do so will have real and immediate consequences. State laws banning abortion are automatically taking effect today, jeopardizing the health of millions of women, some without exceptions. So extreme that women could be punished for protecting their health. So extreme that women and girls who are forced to bear their rapist's child, with the child a consequence. It just stuns me. So extreme that doctors will be criminalized for fulfilling their duty to care. Imagine having a young woman have to carry the child of incest as a consequence of incest. No option. Too often the case. The poor women are going to be hit the hardest. It's cruel. In fact, the court laid out state laws criminalizing abortion that go back to the 1800s as rationale. The court literally taking America back 150 years. This is a sad day for the country, in my view. But it doesn't mean the fight's over. Let me be very clear and unambiguous. The only way we can secure a woman's right to choose, the balance that existed, is for Congress to restore the protections of Roe v. Wade as federal law.
You guys could have been done this. Pause it real
No
quick.
executive action from the
CJ. So this man Joe Biden is like, this is a horrific day. This is a horrible day for America. We had a rogue agency, the Supreme Court. They are rogue. They are taking our rights away. If only there was something we can do about it. But I know there's something that you guys can do. All you gotta do is just give us more power. If you guys just give us more political power, we can make sure this doesn't happen again. Even though we control, you guys keep going for us, and
right,
we refuse to do anything about it. But I want to keep the video playing. I just want to add that part.
Absolutely. All right, let's go.
And the president can do that. And if Congress, as it appears, lacks the votes to do that now, voters need to make their voices heard. This fall, we must elect more senators and representatives who will codify women's right to choose into federal law once again. Elect more state leaders to protect this right at the local level. We need to restore the protections of
Joe,
Roe
you fuck.
as law of the land.
What's the use in electing more Democrats if they're fine with electing Democrats who are anti-abortion? Henry Cuellar, literally, Joe, man, like literally, what's the use? Like, what's the use in that? Because you're saying it's okay to elect those, but those are literally not. Those are votes against this decision.
But see, they're in a purple district, though. We got to win the seat. Yeah, we selling out your community. Yeah, Henry Cuellar is anti-abortion, but we have to win the seat, CJ. What are you, Red Brown Alliance or something? Well, do you want the Republicans to win, even though Henry Cuellar will side with the Republicans on this
like
issue?
93%?
Do you guys see their logic? What is the logic in this? This will forever be the legacy of Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer. Nothing else. Nothing else is losing the Supreme Court, allowing Roe v. Wade to be overturned. That's this trumps, and you could take the pun if you want, but this trumps Obamacare, in my opinion. Like, for those that Obamacare, he wants to be known for that. This but Obama's participation, not appointing another judge. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, you know, the one, the yes queen, the one that everybody loves, her not stepping down. Right, because she wanted Hillary Clinton, a very flawed candidate and terrible person, to appoint her replacement, and that's the reason why she wanted to stay in. I mean, it's a lot of blame to go around, but let's try to finish this speech and we'll get back to our conversation. Yeah, absolutely.
We'll do that. This fall, Roe is on the ballot.
Look at this.
Personal freedoms are on the ballot. The right to privacy, liberty, equality, they're all on the ballot.
They're the most important election of your lifetime again.
You mean to tell me this is what Joe Biden is saying? Liberty, freedom, all these things that are supposed to be guaranteed to us by our Constitution are on the ballot. So vote for us and you'll keep it. Forget the Constitution. You see how ridiculous this is? Like, the Constitution doesn't do any of that. Voting more Democrats will secure our liberty and freedom. It's bizarre. I just think it's bizarre. But let's
vote harder and believe more, guys. You're not believing enough. Faith-based democracy.
I will do all of my power to protect a woman's right in states where they will face the consequences.
Careful. He is very careful with his words right here on purpose. That this is a very lawyerly line where he says, I'll do all I can within my power in those states. He's being very, very specific. So you can clearly see he's not doing he's not using his signature to do nothing. He's not pushing nothing really hard. Why would this guy push this hard? Let me show you. Let me go back to the other video. But why would he push this hard? Let's go back to this video here. Why would he push this hard? Let's listen to him.
I do not view abortion as a choice and a right. I think it's always, and I think that It should be rare and safe. And I think we should be focusing on how to limit the number of abortions. And there ought to be able to have a common ground and consensus as to do that. I do.
Yeah, that's your boy Joey there. And not only Joey, let's go to the other person who is virtue signaling today. This guy right here. Let's go to this video here.
The Freedom of Choice Act is not my highest legislative priority. I believe that women should have the right to choose, but I think that the most important thing we can do to tamp down some of the anger surrounding this issue is to focus on those areas that we can agree on, and that's where I'm going to focus.
So what areas
Freedom of Choice
do
Act is
the
not.
Republicans and the Democrats agree on with abortion? Like what are those areas, Zoya and Nick? Like just the laying down, but now they all want to pound their chest like, I'm here to save the day. Like Elizabeth Warren is out there looking like a damn fool, yelling and stuff. Like, go ahead.
It was they are the ones who keep saying shit like we need a strong Republican Party.
Exactly.
Nancy Pelosi, what do you think happens when you have a strong Republican Party? They get a lot of strong Republican judges in, and then those judges go to work. What do you think happens? And this is the same guy who said the first thing he would do as president will codify Roe v. Wade and abortion rights into law. He did not do that. And he chose not to do that because remember, that was the Barack Obama blue wave when he first was elected. So liberals got cocky and thought like this is the new era. The same way, you know how Reagan dominated the 80s?
Yeah.
They thought that Barack Obama was so popular, they assumed that the Democrats would dominate for the next few years. So then they were like, all right, let's just keep this as a carrot to seal our to confirm our political domination, and we're not going to codify it now. And then once Ruth gets really old, we know we're going to be winning, and we just do it then. It came from this level of arrogance and cockiness, and this cost us big time because
they thought Hillary was going to be there. They thought Hillary was the one that's going to be elected, and Trump messed up the whole game. But let me play this is the video you're talking about, and the one I thought I was playing, where it shows what you're talking about, Nick, where he says, this is my top priority, and then it switches up. Watch this.
Well, the first thing I do as president is sign the Freedom of Choice Act. That's the first thing. Now, the Freedom of Choice Act is not my highest legislative priority.
They're laughing at us, Nick. Go ahead.
But these people are mad at the people who tell people not to vote for the Democratic Party. It's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. I think they knew that if they keep this as a wedge voting issue, they can have Barack Obama be George Bush Jr. third term, which he was. So they were like, it don't matter how many countries we invade, doesn't matter how many people we bomb, doesn't matter we tank black wealth, doesn't matter that we deport more people and become the deporter in chief and build the system that Trump will later abuse. That doesn't matter. We will keep these suckers voting for us as long as we keep Roe v. Wade as the only wedge issue that we really care about. They miscalculated, and this will forever be their legacy. That's it. Like you guys and your political incompetence led to this evangelical takeover of politics because you guys are shitty too. So CJ, go ahead.
No, I want to bring Zoya in and see if she has any bottled up comments that she's been holding back. Anything so far before I go back to the video, Zoya.
Well, somebody just sent me a tweet where AOC is saying not to vote harder, but to vote harder because she. I'm summarizing, but really what she's saying is she's making fun of the concept, and then she's saying we have to do it in primary elections.
Oh, Lord. Hold up. What is this? Hold up.
So she's trying to make fun of it and also use it to say when we should be doing it.
Yes, exactly. Isn't that her game? Funny. She always says something that appeals to us, that seems like she's on our side, and then instantly pivots to, by doing it like this, we'll deliver change.
Man, she immediately came out. Let me show you this, CJ. I just saw this a few hours ago. Breaking AOC arrived in front of the Supreme Court and intending that the Supreme Court decision to overturn Roe v. Wade is illegitimate and called for people to get in the streets. Let's play audio. Let's play audio on this just for a second.
I'm confused. She's not concerned for her safety right now?
No, I was going there. I was like, wait a minute. What is she doing there?
Only when a labor is organizing, then she's scared. But this, where there's actual violence.
You know, reformist leftists are in tears right now that she's out there. You understand? They're like, this is the second coming of the pen. Like, you don't understand, Nick, what they're doing right now.
She's wearing a power jacket. That's all it takes. I wonder what she wrote on the back of this one.
They're more than willing to be in with the outside game that the establishment approves of. They approve of, right? So if there's a labor action, they're gonna remember Amazon had to beg them to come. And it wasn't until Chris Moss got victories that the AOC showed up. So it's only when it's already too late, or when there's not like a general strike or labor action happening.
But what can AOC do? Yeah, she can whip up progressives to go out and vote. She can whip up this is approved by them. Go out, be in the crowd, wear your best jacket, look your best, you know. Man. It's like, this is so ridiculous. Like, where were you for the evictions? Were you out here like this protesting? Where were you for force to vote? Where were you for Medicare for all? Where were you for any of the police protesting? Where were you? But anything approved by the establishment that says, hey, as long as we can do a red-blue point of view, go ahead, AOC. And they unleashed her out into the crowd. It's another tweet.
Yeah, it's Jesus Christ, man. Now for this, not for police still killing us, right? But hey, this is the time you're gonna see all the liberals, all the Democrats gonna be out here and pretend they gonna fight this tooth and nail. Sucks to see. But go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Sorry, I was just going to say the saddest thing is, first of all, Democrats are definitely losing in midterms. But even if they were to win, they would never codify this. They would never give up their political football.
No, this is the tweet you sent me, Zoya. This is AOC's tweet. It says, FYI, when they tell you to vote harder, that should also apply to primary elections too. The party needs to change, and that's not going to happen on its own. This is her veiled attempt of saying we need to vote.
You wasn't endorsing primary challengers, though. What the fuck are you talking about?
But this is what I can't remember what stream we were doing. But you see the like how progressives have to run in a party that don't want them. You have to talk in this coded language. You can't just come out and say, we need to vote for more progressive Democrats and get all these court. You can't say that. You have to talk in these coded languages. And it's like, you're never going to take over a party if you can't be yourself to beat them. If you have to be like them to beat them, meaning running away from BDS, running away from anything, running to Iron Dome, running away from force to vote. If you have to do that to beat them, what is the whole point?
No, this is the fucking bullshit they always tweet out, right? The party needs to change, and that's not going to happen on its own because she's talking about the primary challenges. Bro, how many progressive candidates have AOC chosen not to endorse because she don't want to get on the DCCC bad side? She was the one leaving people behind. So what is she talking about? They have this strategy where they want to take over the Democratic Party with progressives, but you guys are not even on board with that strategy because you chose not to jump in on many elections. But now the time where they're gonna erase all their past sins and pretend they was on the right side of this fight the whole time.
Yeah, let's finish the speech. A couple more minutes maybe, and then got a couple more tweets and videos to show you just their reaction. Just like immediately how they've been asking for people to go to the polls now.
Consequences of today's decision. Well, the court's decision cast a dark shadow over a large swath of the land. Many states in this country still recognize a woman's right to choose. So, if a woman lives in a state that restricts abortion, the Supreme Court's decision does not prevent her from traveling from her home state to the state that allows it. It does not prevent a doctor in that state from treating her. As the Attorney General has made clear, women must remain free to travel safely to another state to seek care they need. My administration will defend that bedrock right. If any state or local official, high or low, tries to interfere with a woman's exercising her basic right to travel, I will do everything in my power to fight that deeply un-American attack. My administration will also protect a woman's access to medications that are approved by the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, like contraception, which is essential for preventative health care, mifepristone, which the FDA approved 20 years ago to safely end early pregnancies and is commonly used to treat miscarriages. Some states are saying that they'll try to ban or severely restrict access to these medications. But extremist governors and state legislators are looking to block the mail or search a person's medicine cabinet or control a woman's actions by tracking data on her apps she uses are wrong and extreme and out of touch with the majority of Americans. The American Medical Association, the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists wrote to me and Vice President Harris stressing that these laws are not based on evidence and asking us to act to protect access to care. They say by limiting access to these medicines, maternal mortality will climb in America. That's what they say. Today, I'm directing the Department of Health and Human Services to take steps to ensure these critical medications are available to the fullest extent possible. And the politicians.
You see how they describe something as they're doing, but let's break that down and we're going to understand how he just described nothing. I'm going to reach out to my people to make sure they take the steps to make sure that the people who can already get this stuff through the tools that we already have can still do that. That's what he said, Nick. That's basically saying I'm going to take the steps that people can do the things they already can do. That's a something. That's a something now. That's doing something.
I see a lot of people, even people to my right, that are frustrated because they're like, man, these liberals are fucking useless. It's like, this is what happened when you back the moderate. When you vote the moderate and you support the centrist candidates, this is centrism in action.
Right.
This is centrism in action. They will push civility politics while the violent state is taking our rights away. They will advocate incrementalism in the face of a class war. Do you guys see how ridiculous their ideology is in the time we are in right now?
And I think that's the frustration we're seeing that some liberals have with the Biden administration is that you're finding out, and this is a great point you just made, Nick. You're finding out that moderates, they don't have a turn up level. This is it.
Exactly.
You know there is no turn up level for moderates, okay? This is it.
No matter what happens. No matter
like
kids will be in cages, fucking cops will be killing people. We need an incremental and rational approach to this. There's a time we gotta fucking turn up, and we've been there. And
we've seen it with the pandemic. And we've seen it with the pandemic. Remember the test rollout, how it took so long? Why did it take so long? Because they're moderates. They don't believe in rushing and getting shit done ahead of time. They're moderates. So the reason they're failing in everything is because moderates believe in slow-moving actions. But we just happen to be, let's bring in Zoya. We happen to be, in the last 2 to 3 years, we happen to be in a very revolutionary time frame where moderation is just not going to cut it. And we're seeing it with the inflation numbers. We're seeing it with the bad decisions with the war machine. and how the sanctions are we're really sanctioning ourselves. But let's bring in Zoya because she's been quiet, maybe bottling up some of her comments. So let's unleash Zoya. What say you to a lot of what we've been saying?
Well, it's just the audacity of this man to talk about anyone else being extreme. I've watched videos of him standing on the Senate floor and arguing that suspects that have never been convicted of a crime should be beaten into confession.
Yeah.
And yet he's talking about other people being extreme. This guy is completely responsible for the ruling that was passed today. He's the reason that Anita Hill was dismissed and Clarence Thomas was installed. He has said that women shouldn't have the sole right to choose. I mean, this guy has been anti-choice, not in the political sphere, not publicly, but in the way he legislates. And he wants to erase history. Even the Democratic Party, and this is the video that I wanted Nick to play, was actually anti-choice. It was the Republicans that were pro-choice based on privacy and personal freedoms. It was a conservative court that passed Roe v. Wade into law. It was Reagan who signed the first abortion law in California. Mm-hmm. So it was the conservatives that pushed for this, but they keep flipping what the parties stand for, just like Democrats used to align with the Ku Klux Klan. But now it's 50 years later, so they always switch up their identities. But ultimately, both parties are always pro-war, always anti-worker, and the wealth gap increases whether it's a red or blue administration for the last 40 decades. So I'm sorry, no matter which issue they weaponize, which is absolutely critical to my survivor in this society, they are not going to convince me with any amount of fear-mongering that they are on our side or will take any action that will serve us.
As always, which is why I like to have us kind of talk, and then we bring Zoya in at the end because she wraps up all of our shit in a nice bow, and that was absolutely on point. Let's bring in a couple of super chats because they're starting to kind of pile up. I'll let you read them. I gotta say something to my daughter real quick. Yeah.
Thank you for $10. Martin Hernandez. This nation has never been a democracy. USA has always been a settler, colonizing, genocide, practicing white supremacist state. Say with your chest, Martin. God, you goddamn right. That is the only job of RBN. I don't give a fuck about subs, views, or anything. Our job is to probe the Overton window and shift it to the left. And I really hope that the people who are to our right that are now in distress because of Roe v. Wade, we've been in distress for many things, right? This is, to me, just another thing to be upset about. Like, this is like the red alert moment for a lot of people. No, this is throw it in the pile. Another reason to
right.
I look at like our foreign policy. I look at the multiple genocides that we are sponsoring. I look at the multiple tyrants that we fund. I look at the fact that we fund the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians. Everyone now is talking about the evil government that in Colombia that led to a leftist president. But why no one talk about the fact that the United States supported the fucking government that was executing leftists and organizers in Colombia? Why did no one talk about the fact that we are the country that supports Bolsonaro, who is literally a fucking ethno-fascist who've been committing a genocide against indigenous Brazilians? The United States support him. They begged him to join the Summit of the Americas and gave him concessions to do that. We don't know what those are yet, but they are reported that he asked for concessions. So you see, Roe v. Wade, this is an important issue. I don't want you guys to misunderstand. I just want you guys to understand me, Martin Hernandez here with this base ass super chat. So I throw him in this as well. CJ and Zoya, we've been here. I want you guys to take this time and recognize that this state and these institutions that you thought it worked, it never did.
Right.
So thank you for that. Go ahead.
And I said this to you earlier because we kind of had sort of a similar conversation in the RBN signal chat. Whatever radicalized people, like as long as you hear, like you know what I'm saying, like you on the battlefield. I'm not really gonna question why the hell what took you so long. I'm just gonna hand you the weapon and say, let's go. So I'm just saying, yes, it took them a while to get here, and yes, there's multiple things, but I'm just saying they're here, and if this is gonna be the thing that radicalizes liberals and makes them go from reformists to revolutionists, then I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Thanks for that super chat. I don't know where you were adding the super chat.
Yeah, well, this is the next one. Thank you, Tiberius Monk, for the $5. The Democrat Party has failed women today, as they have for decades. Amen. Joe Biden had the Women's Protection Act, and you and Congress did nada. I want you guys to remember a president named Bill Clinton, who waged a historic war against the workers and the poverty class in this country. He waged a war against kids. They are the one who cut welfare, quote unquote, entitlement programs. He was the one who implemented the crime bill. He is the one who expanded the rights of the police, which led to the civil asset forfeiture crisis that we are in right now. So when people say we got to vote for the Democrats because the Republicans are bad, no, Bill Clinton had been waging a war on women, which were picked up by George W. Bush, which were picked up by Barack Obama, which was carried by Donald Trump. Now Joe Biden is implementing these same policies. So this is just one issue and another example of this, right? Sorry, CJ. So yeah, you guys can chime in too. Oh, we already got good super chats. Our community is always on fire. Thanks for the $5. Give them the boot. DNC, why aren't you focused on January 6th and Trump? There's so many people focused on a lot of stupid shit. Now you gotta see what's important, right? And what I tweeted out this earlier, kind of related to people like not focusing on what they should. TERFs, right? I never really talk about TERFs that often, but these are the people who like, we are here to protect women. We're here to protect women from trans people. They spend all their time talking about trans people. They have right-wingers who like and retweet their social media posts because they're like, yeah, pay stash, trans person. What's her name? Rowling, the Harry Potter.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
they spend all their time bashing trans people. Meanwhile, it was the right wing who was liking their post that was waging a war on women. Isn't that funny? So I think you guys you guys had your eyes off the prize.
That seems to be what they do a lot.
They're pushing down instead of punching at the oligarch that actually have power. For fuck's sakes. Anyway, thank you for a 49.9. Now is the time to stand up as one. Thank you, comrades. All right, did I miss another one? I think the last one. And I passed it back.
Let me just
get one right the last second. Thank you for this one. This is clearly Brandon. Yeah, man. This is why we need liberals. According to liberal, this is why we need to send more money to Ukraine.
Yeah,
man. If it went Putin,
this is the Putin Supreme Court decision. The Putin Supreme Court decision. That's what this is. Great super chat. Thank you for that. Let's do a like check. While we have 340 people watching, we have, the last time I checked, we had 230 likes. We can do another 100 likes. Let's get to 330. That'll get a lot more people into our chat. Maybe we can get to about 400 people watching and we can get this conversation going. We're just 1 hour in and we still haven't finished the video. So let's try to finish up this video. He says so many terrible things that we have to chime in. So if you need me to stop, don't hesitate. Just let me know. But let's see what else he says. He is coming to an end, but let's see what else Joe Biden says here.
Cannot interfere in the decisions that should be made between a woman and her doctor. And my administration will remain vigilant as the implications of this decision play out. I've warned about how this decision risks the broader right to privacy for everyone. That's because Roe recognized the fundamental right to privacy that has served as a basis for so many more rights that we've come to take for granted, that are ingrained in the fabric of this country. The right to make the best decisions for your health. The right to use birth control, a married couple in the privacy of their bedroom, for God's sake. The right to marry the person you love. Now, Justice Thomas said as much today. He explicitly called to reconsider the right of marriage equality, the right of couples to make their choices on contraception. This extreme and dangerous path the court is now taking us on. Let me close with 2 points. First, I call on everyone, no matter how deeply they care about this decision, to keep all protests peaceful. Peaceful, peaceful, peaceful. No intimidation.
The civility politics is what's going to prevent us. The ruling class want bombs to be dropping. They want no one to have health care during a pandemic, and then they want you to ask for it nicely. You see the ridiculousness of civility politics. It's about saying we want to be able to do all these things to you, and you can't respond appropriately because that's violence. Is it violence to respond to your oppressor? So your slave owner is literally taking your wife, your daughter to the back to rape, or is taking you, you're the one he's taking back to rape. You're supposed to endure that and then go, let me just file a police report. That's what they expect you to do. It is so absurd. Go ahead.
So while we have a Supreme Court that has taken our Fourth Amendment rights away, which they effectively have done by making it so Border Patrol agents, ICE, can infiltrate any home without a warrant, and there's no way you can fight that. They just passed that within their border zone, where it pretty much encompasses all the big border cities, because all our biggest cities are next to fucking the ocean, right? So they essentially stripped the Fourth Amendment rights of like 90% of our country, just like that. And while they're stripping the rights of the workers to plan their family, like this is a class war issue. This is the capitalists telling you cannot plan your family because they need more workers. They need more dead soldiers. That's why they're doing this. This is a class issue as well. So Joe Biden, despite being the quote unquote opposition, he is saying be calm and chill. And why is he doing that? Because he is class loyal. He is there to protect the Supreme Court because that is his class first and foremost. He do not give a fuck about you. He not giving speeches telling the police to protect the people that they are beating the shit out of. He wants to protect the Supreme Court, his fellow elite oligarchs, from the people. That is his job. Are we clear? But go ahead, CJ.
That's such a great point. Zoya, did you want to chime in before I go back to the video? If not, I can go to the video. Let's go back to.
I'm waiting for Biden to be done. Honestly, this stream needs to come with an eighth just to watch this live to our faces.
We're trying to get through it. Let's try to get through it. Let's go.
Violence is never acceptable. Threats and intimidation are not speech. We must stand against violence in any form, regardless of your rationale. Second, I know so many of us are frustrated and disillusioned that the court has taken something away that's so.
Notice what he decided to go with first. Who did he stand with first? This is to your point. He stood with his class first. Let's not rile up my fellow buddies whose kids go to the same kids' school as my grandkids go to. Let's not do that. I got to see him at a picnic, and I want to hear his mouth. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's first. And now let me address the peasants on an issue I barely care about, and we saw his previous video.
Not that he barely care about it.
I know so many women.
He low-key happy about this because you guys really think he changed his mind on Roe v. Wade at the tender age of 70? Like, he was against Roe v. Wade, and then he was like, "Oh shit, I gotta become the most powerful man in the world." So,
right,
in order to appeal to liberals, he got, I changed my mind. That I know I'm fucking like 79, but I evolved on this issue. Believe me. So, guys, you really think? Look at that energy. You really think he gives a fuck? He's like, God damn it. To appeal to these.
That's what I was saying earlier. It's just the language. It's completely not a person who has been down for this cause and for like decades. It's completely not that. I don't get that from this at all. So, but let's see if we can finish this.
To face incredibly difficult situations. I hear you. I support you. I stand with you. The consequences and the consensus of the American people, core principles of equality, liberty, dignity, and the stability of the rule of law demand that Roe should not have been overturned. With this decision, the conservative majority of the Supreme Court shows how extreme it is, how far removed they are from the majority of this country. They've made the United States an outlier among developed nations in the world. But this decision must not be the final word. My administration will use all of its appropriate lawful powers, but Congress.
All of its appropriate lawful powers, that is a key lawyerly statement. He's already setting up for all of y'all, for everybody that's going to be calling him for to be doing all of these revolutionary things to do this, to address this. He's going to go back to this line of the lawfulness. He's only using his lawful tools in a lawful way.
Congress must act. And with your vote, you can act. You can have the final word.
So if we all vote, that means we're going to get this right back, this constitutional right. Is that what's going to happen? Or is just going to put more Democrats in power and y'all going to fight over it and just kick this can down the line? This is not over. Thank you very much. More to say this in weeks to come. Thank you. He got the hell out of Dodge. He got the hell out of Dodge there. So that's the speech. And I do have something else to show you while we were on, or maybe it came on. Nancy Pelosi has a comment on this or maybe it's a poem. The type of shit that they do when they know they're not going to do shit. This is her. I'm kneeling with remember the George Floyd kneeling that they all did in those outfits that they did. Maybe this is it. I haven't watched the whole thing, but somebody said that this is good. So let's listen to Nancy Pelosi's poem.
I am personally overwhelmed by this decision. From time to time, I quote.
You sound like it.
This poem by Ehud Manor. He's an Israeli poet. I met his wife.
Of course.
It says, I have no other country, even though my land is burning. Only a word in Hebrew penetrates my veins, my soul, with an aching body and with a hungry heart. Here is my home. I will not be silent, for my country has changed her face. Country has changed her face. I shall not give up on her. I shall remind her and sing into her ears until she opens her eyes. Clearly, we hope that the Supreme Court would open its eyes. I am personally.
Oh, that's it. So everything's better now, Nick. She read a poem and everything's better now. Go ahead.
Let me tell you guys something.
It's terrible.
The people who vote, and I'm looking at all you liberals in San Francisco. I'm looking for every single one of y'all motherfuckers who voted for Dianne Feinstein.
Oh, yeah.
These people are, and Dianne Feinstein, like, she's running for re-election again at the tender age of like 91. Like, literally her entire staff is like, guys, help. She don't even know where she's at. Like, she don't know where she's at. She can't read fucking briefings. But there's going to be a segment of liberals that's going to vote for them anyway, because they always do. So I'm asking you guys, who is the lowest info voter in the country? The liberal who vote for Nancy Pelosi and Dianne Feinstein in California. These are the worst lowest info voters in the country. Like, every time I hear like Nancy Pelosi speak, like I hear just a liberal version of Trump.
Let me let you hear more of not even a conservative voice of Trump, and that's one of your old. I think, what was she, a senator, old representatives, who's on MSNBC? What do you call her? Claire McCaskill.
Oh, Claire McCaskill, my former senator. She lost to Josh Hawley after running like a Trump Democrat. But go ahead, CJ.
No, that was the point. Like, she was a Trump Democrat. Now listen, so I have some footage of her. She came on MSNBC. Now, she provides a terrible quote at the end, but let's watch a little bit of her appearance on Andrea Mitchell Reports, who, by the way, should be retiring too, because she has cognitive problems. For years she's been having it, and it's terrible to see it on screen sometimes. I think you see it not in this first clip, but it's terrible.
Prosecutor from Missouri, a key state in this whole debate. Senator, your fellow senators, members of the Judiciary Committee, Amy Klobuchar and others, Dianne Feinstein, specifically questioned all of these three Trump justices, and were told in different things. She's written about this in scholarly journals, but saying that they would uphold precedent, upheld stare decisis, and specifically saying in the case of Roe, because that was the specific question in several of these cases, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Coney Barrett.
Yeah, I want to speak to that, Andrea, but give me just a moment of personal here. I have taken tearful calls from, I grew up in a house with a strong mother who worked for women's rights. And she told me, honey, I thought we had this covered for you. And this was when we were having the debate about birth control in Missouri. And today I've taken calls from my family, the women in my family, that range from sobbing to just white hot anger and fear for their daughters. And I don't think we should leave out the human part of this, that it feels to most women in America that this is a violation. And in my state, right now, as of right this minute, the young 13-year-old girl that I dealt with as a prosecutor, who had been raped repeatedly by her stepfather and had been told if she told anyone she would be killed, finding out, much to her mother's horror, that she was pregnant from that series of brutal rapes at the age of 13. That young girl is now going to be mandated by the government to carry that child in my state. And if that doesn't motivate people for November, I don't know what it's going to take.
She just told the whole story. If the sob story that I just told you don't motivate you to go vote, I don't know what will. As if she cares anything about that 13-year-old girl.
Damn.
She told the whole.
She really did just say that right at the end, huh?
Out loud, yes.
And my question is, my response to that video clip is, why the fuck are we hearing from Claire McCaskill? Think about what she said in the beginning there, which I'm like, I don't believe you. You had staff take those calls, but she was like, I'm taking calls from my constituents, hearing from them their pain. Think about CNN. Why are you talking to the millionaire bourgeoisie ruling class scum that is Claire McCaskill, instead of talking to these women that Claire McCaskill said she spoke to? Wouldn't it be more productive of your time to actually interview people in the streets, talk to real workers? But they are terrified of doing that because what do we say? They are bourgeoisie capitalist networks who would never hear from workers themselves, but they will bring on a right-winger scumbag like Claire McCaskill that fought the Show Me Cannabis movement in Missouri. We were trying to legalize marijuana. She was our number one opposition. She was our number one opposition in the fight for 15 when she was in office. There's a reason why nobody in Missouri voted for her ass. She ran to Josh Hawley's right, guys. She ran on Trump's border wall. She ran on cutting Medicaid. And then this is now the person they put on cable. Like, I hear you guys. I sympathize with you guys. Fuck you. Fuck you. Trust me, guys. I don't give a fuck how bad Josh Hawley is. Claire McCaskill was a corporate right winger, and even like a social conservative too. Like, she was the worst of the worst. But before I continue, we can go back to what we about to share here, and I'll add more after that.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Let me.
Oh no! I thought you were gonna share something. Yeah, go ahead. If you want to share something, go ahead.
Is there any more to that video?
To her, she just makes a bunch of terrible comments.
Yeah, I was wondering. Okay, I didn't know if you was done presenting.
Yeah, no. She makes a couple of terrible comments. That's it.
Let me say this, guys. Let me say this. Cause I see a lot of liberals right now. They are blaming Susan Sarandon. They're blaming. They blame.
What is the logic behind that again? I never got the logic. What is their logic? How do they? What is their formula to how do they get to her? It's her problem.
Why do you think Ben Stiller is in Ukraine, guys? Ben Stiller is meeting Zelensky. Why do you think they had Jay-Z, P. Diddy doing vote or die campaign for the Democratic Party? No matter how thug they act, no matter how fucking edgy they pretend they are, they know who the fuck assigns their checks. They know if you do not, at the end of the day, tell people to vote for the Democratic Party, if you do what Susan Sarandon does, like you're an A-list actress, well known in Hollywood, and you tell people, "Nah, fuck Hillary Clinton," and she still says it to this day, and that's why they still attack her for it. There are people that attacking Bernie Sanders, blaming Bernie Sanders for this. You guys know I'm not a fan of Bernie Sanders, but I'm not gonna tolerate stupid shit. I'm not gonna tolerate people saying shit that makes no sense. This is on the liberal establishment. The liberal establishment, you guys lost thousands of seats under Barack Obama. There was a right-wing takeover of these local governments because you guys failed on your promises. You guys allowed Wall Street to bankrupt the workers. You guys expanded the police state that waged war on black families and on working class families across the spectrum. So when they decide not to show up and vote for you, and there is this extremist takeover because capitalists appeal to the extremists that their poverty creates, this will always be your fault. But they want to shift the finger on third-party voters, Green Party voters, Bernie Sanders for having the audacity to run in the primary, right? So my message to liberals who are acting smug as hell right now, even though you guys took the biggest political L I have ever seen. They're like, this is why you guys will vote for my party. No, fuck you. You are a war criminal, class warrior on behalf of the rich. And the reason why we are in the position is because you guys beat the working class up so much that the extremists took over politically. Like, if you guys wasn't so incompetent, we wouldn't be in the position that we are right now. We need to start looking to revolutionary politics. There are people now like, oh, let's hit the streets, let's march and protest. I'm for you now, but I've been here.
Right.
I'm not gonna listen to these motherfuckers who just now revolutionary because they found an issue that affects them.
Right.
We talk about the trauma we've been through because of what the state done to our family. We've been revolutionary. You guys is now revolutionary. So
right.
Anyway, go ahead.
Right. So, like you said, this is being added to the pile, and join the fight. Where, my arms are open for anybody that's now becoming revolutionary. If this is your issue, let's do it. But you can't avoid what Nick is saying here. Now, I do have a couple of comments I have started here. I want to bring up one of them, which emotional manipulation. That's what I'm talking. That's what Claire McCaskill is doing. That's what Joe Biden did in his. Yes, it's a describing an issue, describing the pain, verbalizing that pain, articulating it as if you're on that team, and then saying, "Vote for me." Now let's examine their strategy. We vote for them in 2024. Let's say they keep the House, keep the Senate. Let's say they keep it all. What exactly are you going to do that you can't do right now? What do you need? You need 60 votes. So you're telling me we have to deliver you a 61 a 62 majority, because you got Sinema and Manchin, right? So you have to deliver 62. That's 12 senators you have to deliver in order to get this codified, according to them. 12 senators. Or you can hit the streets and not be nice. Or you can elect 12 senators. You know how long it's going to take to get 12 senators elected? You know how long that's going to take for to get 12 senators elected? And then are we talking about 12 corporate senators? Can they be senators that are pro-abortion, like Manchin? Like, what exactly are we talking about? Do you see how the strategy they're talking about of electing more Democrats, it's really not a strategy to get what you're talking about. They're just using your pain to get you to vote for them. This strategy can't be done, can't execute, get what they want done. You have a better chance of changing the Supreme Court than to getting to 62 senators in the United States Senate. It is just an absurd ask.
Look at this. Look at this hilarious comment. You had for months, you had liberals fear-mongering over Putin, sending money to Ukraine, even though the enemy was in the backyard. People wondering, Nick, Destiny and his shit-lip army, when we had our debate, they were like laughing, like, oh my God, Nick, his entire politics is just USA bad. Whenever I hear like people criticize me from my right, they was like, Nick, his whole politics is just USA bad. Do you guys understand why that is now? You guys are worried about Putin while you got fucking right-wing authoritarians in your own country waging class war, stealing your rights away. And now are you guys, now do you understand the people who call me, there are many people ever since my Ukraine coverage, they're like, oh, you're a Putin sympathizer. Now do you guys understand why I don't have Putin derangement syndrome? He's not the one who's killing us. He's not the one who's stealing our Fourth Amendment rights. USA bad in our politics because that is the most base.
That's the truth.
So whenever people say that, I'm not laughing. You're like, Nick, like your politics is USA bad. Like, yeah, God, yes, motherfucker. Where's the insult?
That is what I'm saying. That is what we see. You want me to say USA not bad when it is USA bad? But if people need to think about it like this. The reason you're in your state, whatever issue you're having, where there is a lack of health care, lack of pay, there's one empire that's causing that for you. That's causing that for all of us all over the planet, and that's the U.S. empire. Most of your troubles, if you're talking about economic, socioeconomic, rights, privileges, human rights, it's tied to the U.S. hegemony and the U.S. imperialism. That's it. And it's now coming to an end. But that's for another stream, Nick. We'll have another stream where we talk about just U.S. hegemony and just seeing it. You kind of said it in yesterday's stream or whenever we were streaming. Just seeing it come to a multipolar world. Just seeing people kind of like flip the finger to the United States with the Summit of Americas. It's beautiful to see, in my opinion. Let's bring in Zoya. Zoya's been patiently waiting here. Zoya, let's hand the mic to you for as long as you want. You've been soaking in, the variations of our conversation. What say you, Zoya?
Well, I know you guys, so these aren't surprising conclusions I'm hearing. Mm-hmm. But a couple of different points for people to consider, because you do have some haters in the comments as well. So
yes, as
always, alcohol use only increased and became deadlier under Prohibition. We already tried Prohibition in this country. It's a failed experiment. It never works, and it had to be reversed. Abortions are going to happen in this country daily, whether they're legal or not. All we're talking about is making them less safe and basically harder for people who are in poverty to get. Now, what's going to happen when somebody that's already stuck at such poverty that they can't afford to get an abortion and you're forcing them to have a child? And then the same people will not want to support this child in any way, because God forbid we have welfare, a positive word, but God forbid we have welfare to support the children that we're forcing these women to have. So, like anything, prohibition always targets the people who are already most vulnerable in our system. And we cannot turn to our oppressors to help us resolve this issue. The people who manufacture these problems aren't going to get us out of them. It is not in their interest. As soon as abortion is solved, as soon as it's codified, what can Democrats scare you with? What can they fundraise on? I know they still got the LGBTQ issues, right? And immigration used to be their thing, but their record on immigration, with little kids getting raped at the border right now while they're illegally detained, and people getting brutalized by whips, all under Biden, under increased funding, increased deportations. And they're going to say that this is the party that will save you, the party that can freeze prices right now and are doing nothing to prevent 40 million Americans from being food insecure and millions of children being homeless in the street. This party is suddenly going to help us. It's such cognitive dissonance. They are proven liars. And why would you for a second entertain that someone that has lied to you continuously is finally telling you the truth and going to be on your side? It is the desperation. It's desperation. People are so desperate for some form of hope that they are willing to suspend all critical thinking and reality and think that just checking a box on some piece of paper is going to solve a single systemic issue in the society that is serving the ruling class. And let me tell you, nothing is going to solve anything unless you guys organize and you get into the streets. I know you're tired. I know it's inconvenient. And God forbid people who don't want to, stop watching Netflix or ordering Uber Eats. We're comfortable. We're comfortable in our oppression. And until we actually do something about it, don't expect any kind of change. And you're not going to wash your complicity away by voting on voting day.
Yeah. Zoya is love.
That's so well put.
Zoya is life. Yes, don't fall for it, guys. Please, for the love of God, do not fall for it. I'll read the super chat. What are the long-term goals of this decision? It seems like suicide to me from outside the U.S. I have a theory. You guys know I always have theories for things like these. As late-stage capitalism gets worse, I told you guys I always have a class analysis for something. So as late-stage capitalism gets worse, why do you think there's been this insane right-wing push on trans issues? Why do you think they've been assessed over stupid shit like trans athletes? There's like 5 trans athletes. I read an article where they were like, guys, do you know how many trans athletes there are? There's like 4. But that's been dominating our national dialogue. These wedge issues been dominating our national dialogue. And to be clear, I do not blame the people who are fighting for their liberation on these issues. Because if you're a trans person, it's important for you. But if you're a white cis male, right? What happened to minding your own fucking business? But they've been brainwashed by the capitalist media machine that pumps these stories out, that push this culture war on people to divide people as the material conditions for workers, including poor white workers, get worse. But a long time strategy of the ruling class is to get white racists or anyone who have prejudice to look at the other and make them think the problems that they have is their fault. So Tucker Carlson is an amazing propagandist on this. I actually seen him do the breakdown and stuff. He's like, there's a short baby food shortage. We send all this money to Ukraine. The workers are starving. And then he pivoted. He was like, the woke mob is responsible for it.
Yeah.
Talking about the issue, and then they blame it on the lower class, the workers, because they want the workers to fight each other. So that's the right wing job. I tell you guys, what we talk about all the time, CJ. I'll try to make myself short here. They both play a role in class warfare. So the left has the role, the right is pushing the culture war to distract the poor whites who the light bulb is almost lit up. Like when they hear me and CJ, they're like, yeah, we need some class solidarity, damn it. But then they hear Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro come with a trans issue. Here, look over here. Look over here. Get distracted.
Right.
They're like, yeah, goddamn trans people. Then they get distracted because they're fucking bigots. who they'd rather be poor than allow people who they deem to be lesser than get their liberation. And this is a concept that the ruling class have taken advantage of for a very long time. So to answer a question, I had a long explanation to answer a question. The long-term goals of the decision is literally to keep the workers fighting against each other and distracted as long as possible, so they can loot as much from the workers as possible. And I'm sorry to break it to you guys, as I explained, Tucker Carlson is part of that formula. I explained his role just now. Ben Shapiro part of this formula. Anyone who is pushing the red-blue game is part of this formula that this psyop that they weighed on the worker class. And RBN, and I'm proud to say my RBN comrades as well. This is why I chose all of them. This is why we all came together. We don't fall for it. We don't allow people to distract us with these stupid ass issues that people push on us. Like, I'm not gonna fucking spend all my time fighting and denying the rights over an issue where there's like 5 trans athletes, just for example. Is that seriously worth destroying worker solidarity for? Can we have some revolutionary discipline? Really, I literally seen people fight people over this stupid fucking issue, these issues that mean nothing. Does it impact you? Now, once again, I do mention the people who are impacted by this, if it affects them, that's their revolutionary struggle. But if you're fighting this, you just want to impose will on the culture, which is a culture war. Right? We got no tolerance for. I don't have any tolerance for it. But anyway, sorry my spill. That was a great super chat. That my rant.
Yeah, no, that was a great super chat. Do we have any others? I think there might. I don't know which ones. I think there might be one or two you haven't went over. Let me switch the screen. Tell me if you went over this one here.
Yeah, this is a new one. I'll read it. I'll read it and I'll let you comment. Great takes on Roe v. Wade, guys. I think the underlying point is that they only use the SCOTUS to protect property owners and white supremacy from democratic pressures. Ruth Bader Ginsburg used the doctrine of discovery, the precedent that was set by the Supreme Court while they were stealing lands from indigenous people during their genocide. And she used that so corporations can drill and steal the lands of indigenous people. But tell me more about your yes queen liberal hero.
Right.
That's why do not allow the liberals to trick you. The SCOTUS is class loyal. It doesn't matter if Joe Biden picked them. Doesn't matter if Hillary Clinton picked them. It really doesn't fucking matter. There will never be a pro working class SCOTUS. Are we clear? Anyway, let me finish the super chat and I'll pass to you guys. SCOTUS has no other role in government. It never really has. Amen. Once again, I told you, we got a base ass community. Like literally all our super chats always lead to a lot of discussion. But CJ, you want to take that, or Zoe? You guys can take
it. This is a great. Actually, let me let Zoe go first, and then I'll take it after.
Oh yeah, we gotta get to the Zoe video next after we get done with some chats too. I didn't forget about that.
And I just shared a tweet in our private chat. If you can toss it up. So
let's share the stuff that you sent me on. This is a good time to do it. 1 second.
Well, this one's short and simple. This is a friend of the show.
Okay, which one? Oh, private chat. Oh,
private chat. Yeah.
Okay, I see it. Oh yeah, this is Jabir. We gotta get Jabir.
Oh yeah.
We gotta get Jabir back on the show for sure.
So this is to the point of, well, if we don't vote, what can we do? So here he is, instantly telling people, if you or someone needs to get to a state where abortions are a protected right, get in touch with me. We will get you from A to B directly. This is organizing. This is people showing up to help each other, not donating to politicians who lie to you, not believing that anything is going to get solved because they haven't done it in decades. So logically, they're not going to do it now. This is community organizing. Just instantly showing up for your neighbors, for your friends, putting that money, pulling it together, mutual aid. You can't get an abortion locally? Great. There are states that are going to keep it legal, like California, no matter what. So you can organize to get people over to them. There's an immediate, tangible solution, not just vote, not fighting over which party is going to fuck you over the least, but actually doing something. It's not that hard. You can find people doing it in your communities right now and actually be a part of helping people resolve things in a tangible way. Besides that, I just wanted to say that civility politics, which we're going to get a nauseating amount, are actually a form of violence by virtue, because the fact that they force us to deny how serious things are and invalidate our pain in the process just opens the door to do it more. And they've gone profoundly good at it. And this is all happening while under a Biden administration, while they're controlling the House and the Senate and refusing to codify Roe versus Wade. And don't make excuses for them for why it would fail. Who cares? Everything needs to fail before it succeeds. It's not an excuse not to bring it up for a vote. That's ridiculous. That's accepting defeat without even trying. And for some reason, liberal voters love to do this. But people are already getting arrested for miscarriages. Brittany Pulau got arrested for a miscarriage and charged with first-degree manslaughter in January 2021, while this Democratic administration has been asleep at the wheel. Another woman has been arrested for an abortion. Lizelle Herrera was arrested in Texas and charged with murder in April 2022. That just happened. Where's the outrage? Where's the protest? You guys going to just vote harder? There are people in danger right now. There are people starving right now. There are people cops are killing right now. You cannot surrender all of your power to the system. It's an illusion, and you're lying to yourselves that anyone else is going to deliver any change within your lifetime. I've been at this for a long time, for decades, and this establishment is not going to. Actually, things are getting progressively worse. So we got to take back our power.
That's another reason why this is a class issue, guys. Look at that. People getting arrested over abortions, right? There's going to be another reason they're going to use to expand the police, expand the national security state. Just another reason. And when you do look at all these issues, I'll pass it right to you, CJ. Under that guise, what expands the police state, what does not? That was the same thing. That was the same thing I was saying around the mandates. Who's going to enforce the mandates? That's to lead to a situation where you're expanding the police state, right? What happens when you vote to expand the Capitol Police in response to January 6th? They use that power to crack the head indigenous protesters, just like we predicted. Do not use any of these tragedies. Don't use any of these situations to get capitalists more powers. But go ahead, CJ.
No, I'm just gonna let Kamala Harris chime in on the decision. I'm just trying to get everybody. The last person I want to make sure I get let the audience see their comments is Elizabeth Warren. But let's listen to Kamala Harris. Let's just listen. I'll comment after.
For nearly 50 years, we have talked about what Roe v. Wade protects. Today, as of right now, as of this minute, we can only talk about what Roe v. Wade protected. Past tense. This is a healthcare crisis, because understand, millions of women in America will go to bed tonight without access to the health care and reproductive care that they had this morning, without access to the same health care or reproductive health care that their mothers and grandmothers had for 50 years. This is the first time in the history of our nation that a constitutional right has been taken from the people of America. And what is that right? Some might ask. It's the right to privacy. Think about it as the right for each person to make intimate decisions about heart and home. The great aspiration of our nation has been to expand
so fucking
freedom.
bad at this. God damn it.
Yes, I was trying to get through. I was trying. And she knows. That's why you notice how she keeps looking to the top right. That's because that's where her safety net is. Whether it's a teleprompter or her people, she keeps looking top right. Oh, right. because she needs to make sure, am I sounding stupid? Am I sounding like, is everything okay? And it's so transparent that she's trying so hard not to fuck up. She's trying so hard, but it's so transparent. It's terrible, just terrible. Let's finish. Let's finish what she said.
Thank
she
God,
has
only 30 seconds left. Thank
Yes,
God.
She has
please.
30
Oh my
seconds.
God.
Yes.
But the expansion of freedom clearly is not inevitable. It is not something that just happens. Not unless we defend our most fundamental principles. Not unless we elect leaders who stand up for those principles.
Like Henry Quasar. Like, these people are ridiculous.
Jesus
That's
fucking
one of
Christ.
the last. That's one of the last. Am I missing any clips, Zoya, that you may have sent?
I sent you one that explains Roe versus Wade and what it is.
That's the one. Okay.
But that's only if you want to.
Okay. I mean, as long as it's not long, I don't think, because we will be bringing the stream to an end. Let me. Okay, I got it right here. Yeah, let's. I mean, just for those who may not, because we can't assume that everybody knows everything. Let's yeah, it's a very short video, under 3 minutes. So let's watch the video that Zoya sent that explains Roe v. Wade. Give you the context of it. So let's share, and then we'll be doing a couple of shout outs, and I'm gonna do a quick little run through Twitter to make sure there's no new comments that we want to put up before we exit here. So this is under 3 minutes. Let's listen to this video.
Most Supreme Court decisions are granular, little noticed interpretations of the law and Constitution, but a few are landmarks. Roe v. Wade was a landmark. It effectively legalized abortion across the United States. Here are the facts and players in the case. Jane Roe was actually Norma McCorvey. She was a Texan in her early 20s who wanted to terminate an unwanted pregnancy in 1969. Abortion was legal in Texas at the time, but only for the purpose of saving a woman's life. That was not the issue for McCorvey. Her life was not at risk. She tried unsuccessfully to get an illegal abortion and was referred to 2 attorneys interested in challenging anti-abortion laws. The Wade in Roe v. Wade was Henry Wade, the district attorney of Dallas County, who enforced that Texas abortion law. McCorvey soon filed a case against him. The Supreme Court agreed in 1971 to hear the case, and on January 22nd, 1973, struck down the Texas law in a 7-2 decision. Justice Harry Blackmun wrote for the majority opinion and declared a woman's right to privacy under the 14th Amendment superseded a state's right to ban abortion. The court set different rules for each trimester. In the first trimester, the choice to end pregnancy was entirely up to the mother. In the second trimester, the government could regulate but not ban abortion in order to protect the mother's health. In the third trimester, the state could prohibit abortion to protect a fetus that could survive outside the womb, except when the mother's health is in danger. Justices Byron White and William Rehnquist dissented. They basically held the argument of privacy went far beyond the intentions of the constitutional framers, an argument that could signal the grounds for challenges to Roe. The 2 justices also stated the court's decision did not stick to the specific facts of this case because Roe was not in her first trimester at the time of the litigation. Public opinion was quickly shifting. In August 1972, Americans opposed legalized abortion, 46 to 42%. But by April 1973, it was 52 to 41 in favor. In the years since, Roe's been modified but not overturned. A notable example was in 1992, a case called Planned Parenthood versus Casey. For all intents and purposes, this is the new standard by which abortion cases are judged. The focus this time wasn't privacy, it was roadblocks, which had been intentionally set up to make it harder to get an abortion. In a 5-4 ruling, the court said restrictions are unconstitutional if they place an undue burden on a woman. Support for Roe v. Wade remains strong. A Kaiser Family Foundation poll in June 2018 found that 67% of Americans do not want the Supreme Court to overturn the ruling, while 29% do. The question now, of course, is what the Supreme Court will do with a solid conservative majority.
Yeah, great explanation.
Nandito na ang padulot partner
Let me
ng
take that off. Great explanation video. Actually, that was some of that in there. I didn't even know myself. Let's kind of bring this segment to an end, and then we'll go to last words and all that. But I want to play this this Elizabeth Warren video. It's very short. It's not even a minute long. But there's a couple of them in different locations where she's given her opinion, and yeah, we'll give our comments on the other end. But let's listen to her appearance on CNN.
I am spitting mad over this. We have 6 extremist justices on the United States Supreme Court who have decided that their views should be imposed on the rest of America.
I want to see the
This
snakes
is
in the
not
chat.
what America wants. And in a democracy on this issue, the Supreme Court does not get the last word, the people do. And we are going to fight back. We've got tools, we're going to use them. We are not without actions that we can take. We need to have hope, but we need to hang on to this anger because we use that anger to fuel change.
We use that anger to fuel you voting for me. That's essentially what she wants to say. I don't need to play the other videos because it's the same speech. It's just, you got 6 justices, because I just listened to the other one. It's the same line. 6 justices. She just said it in 3 different places. So you get it.
I'm cracking up because this is all you see when Elizabeth Warren speaks. Just Nate. I have a few more. I have a few more. Just one more thing. A few.
Yeah, go ahead.
There.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
That's pretty based, right? I think this is a great point, and I want to wrap. Actually, I'll probably wrap up on this. Caitlin Johnstone says, China is a strange, backward nation ruled by tyrants. Said the nation founded by Puritans who used to execute women for witchcraft and just killed reproductive rights protections because they think Jesus told them to. Caitlin Johnstone. I don't want to hear shit about China. If you're a liberal now, shut the fuck up about Putin, China, Venezuela. You're done. Don't call it Christian Al Qaeda, right? Don't call it the Christian Taliban. This is the United States. Don't use terrorist organizations and Muslim organizations as a way to draw analogies to what is American-born. American-born authoritarianism is in this country. So decolonize your mind and rid yourself of Western chauvinism. And I just want to show this because Caitlin always on fire.
No, she.
Zoya, do you have another video you want to share? Was there another one? Anything else?
Yes, in your DMs on Twitter.
Yeah, this is short video. Let's watch this video real quick. It's only like
you got it in? Okay, he got it.
I have it pulled up. I think we got one more, and then we get back to some chats. Let's play this here.
Before the courts got involved in the abortion issue, it looked as if.
So who legalized abortion in this country? Conservative Republicans. Who started giving them? Clergymen. Okay, just some nice history for context, because you see, when we don't study history and we rely on mainstream media to feed us a narrative, we can be manipulated, and they tell us that one party is something that it completely isn't or wasn't decades ago. And now suddenly the Democrats are the pro-choice party when they opposed the abortion for a really long time. So they're going to keep playing this game, and they can constantly switch who's for what, because ultimately the people in charge are their donors. And the donor class always gets what the donor class wants, and both parties are serving them.
Zoya is love. Zoya is life. Always with this. Yeah, that was a good one. CJ, I'll back to you. I know
like this video. We're gonna be coming to an end here. And we're gonna shout out a bunch of things in just a second. But before I do that, like this video. We did very good. We're at 365 likes. I think we can get to 400. That's 35 more before the stream ends. 35 more before the stream ends. So let's see if we can push that to 400. Also,
can I read the chat from Carlos?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
This is Carlos, friend of the show. He was on yesterday with Saul Rod. If you guys didn't check that conversation out, it was a banger. You probably should. So this is Carlos. They're telling us to get mad and protest peacefully, and they're also telling us to shut up and take it when it comes to inflation. This is the leftist party in the USA. Gaslighting politics. Shout out to Carlos. Go ahead, CJ.
No, that's such a great point. This is the leftist side. Just keep that in mind. This is the leftist side. It just tells you how far gone what we call the left is in the United States. What I was going to say is subscribe to our Substack. A lot of you get messages from or get notifications from our Substack when we do these streams, especially when we do these unplanned streams. It's always good to be on our mailing list. And when I say mailing list, the only thing we send out is notifications for our streams. We don't send out any other mailer right now, but that is probably going to change once we have our big meeting. We're going to be introducing some of our other things, but also introducing our website, introducing some of our concepts that RBN wants to do, some of our strategies moving forward, some of our community building moving forward. We're going to be having those announcements after that big meeting. I think the big meeting is somewhere in July, and then we're going to come out and let everybody know what's going on. But join our Substack. Yeah, but join our Substack so that you can get those notifications. Again, like the stream, let's get to 400. What are your final words on this before we end this stream, Nick? And then I'll go to Zoya. What are your final words on the topic, and like what do you have coming up next this weekend or anything else, Nick?
Yeah, if I'm gonna have final words on this topic, I had to bring up the original take I have and continue to expand on it. This will always be the result of capitalism. So isn't it funny how I heard for my entire life how socialist countries and socialism leads to rampant authoritarianism in a police state. Meanwhile, this is what capitalism led to, because capitalism breeds extremism. Poverty breeds extremism. And then the capitalists take advantage of that extremism to gain political power by appeasing to those extremists. Trump was not a religious man. He even openly admitted it. But he appealed to evangelicals because he's a capitalist who used their extremism to gain power. So under capitalism, and as people's material conditions continue to get worse, more extremist elements will gain political power, and they will be used to divide and crush the workers. So this will always the end result of this. And we got to start organizing. We got to start having revolutionary discipline so we can prevent things from getting this bad in the future, even though I think we are here now. Things are too late.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
The message of the stream is don't fall for the bullshit. Don't donate to Democrats now. The people I've already seen fundraisers. The people who donate to Democrats right now, they're lost. I don't even know what to say. But if this is the moment to radicalize you, that's fine. That's great. Welcome aboard. It's better late than never. We need everyone in this fight. So take this anger you feel at this result and show it to a protest. Like I've seen a lot of protests popping up everywhere. I may report on a protest on the ground in Kansas City if I can find one. I'm definitely gonna do that. Find something local in your area, guys, and not only just for this issue, but for worker rights, for ending the police state. Don't allow them just to turn into a one-issue voter as well. We got to take on the entire empire. So that's my final thoughts. And as for the announcements, this was my beta testing week for my new show, but I think it went really well. My evening show I'll be doing Mondays and Thursdays at around 9 p.m. Eastern time. We'll have a lot of great guests. I'll be back next. Nick and CJ Monday. I'll be back. Nick and CJ on Monday, and I may do a weekend call-in as well, because I've been doing call-in and around I've been doing my lunchtime calling, so that's what I have coming up. Make sure you guys stay tuned, subscribe, because we upload every single day. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in.
And Zoya, your final thoughts on the topic, and also what do you have coming up? Any activism, any appearances for you?
Well, I'm organizing locally, and I strongly suggest that other people do that too. We are going to be raising funds to get women transportation to California so that they can get the health care that they need. But I just want to point out the fact that USSR, a communist country, was the first to legalize abortion. And so if you want to flee these human rights violations, communist countries are ready to welcome you and give you free healthcare and an education while you're at it. I just, we need some humor after CJ tortured us with like the worst villain in politics. But seriously, on final words, I know a lot of people right now are really triggered. My phone is blowing up. So first thing I suggest to everyone is to stop watching corporate-owned mainstream media. They will never offer solutions, only peddle fear that will force you to make choices against your own interests and make you believe that nothing better is possible. If you really want to make change, you can, and you can participate it at whatever capacity you have, whether getting directly involved or just donating or even making flyers. There's endless possibilities. You can get on your computer right now and Google abortion actions or strike funds or mutual aid or tenant associations or community garden. But ultimately, always the onus is going to be on us. But it's not on us to vote. You can vote third party if you want to. I'm not saying not to do that, but you have to take action into your hands. You have to start collecting with your fellow humans and actually helping each other. That is how we build community, and we need a strategy. We don't just need violence. Biden is out there saying peace, peace, peace. There's strategic violence that actually gets results, but we can't do it without the strategy aspect. And in order to have strategy, we first have to build community. So lots of love and solidarity. Stay strong, everybody.
So absolutely, shout out to Robin. I haven't seen her in a while in the chat. Shouting out Zoya. Zoya's always glad to have Zoya on the network. I haven't had her in a stream. She usually
we're doing some action panel this weekend, right, Zoya? Do you know? Barry know. I think we're doing the action panel for 10 Demands on Sunday too.
Oh yes.
Can you shout the info for that? Because you know more about it than I do.
With Juma, actually, Awkward signed us up for this, and then was not available, so it's going to be Nick and I holding it down. I'm just pulling up the information. 1 second.
Absolutely, no worries.
My computer's slower than
I just now remember this at the last second.
So it's going to be this Sunday, but it's an all-weekend summit basically, and it's centered on abolition. Our panel, the 10 Demands panel, is going to be on June 26th, Sunday, from 11:30 a.m. to 12:50 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it's called Move to Amend. That is the organization that is hosting this event, and Juma Baraka is going to be on Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's called A Radical Gathering.
So yeah, I'll find the link and I'll probably post it on YouTube in our community tab so you guys can check it out. So that's just something I want to plug before we sign off too. We'll go ahead, CJ.
Absolutely. Tomorrow on RBN, Afeni will be bringing her mutual aid event. It's a sneaker ball for the freedom fighters of DC. So that'll be tomorrow. I don't want to give a time, but she already has it out. You can see the upcoming video. I don't know. I don't want to say the time and it's the wrong time. So check that out. We're gonna end as we always do with a video but I want to make sure. Is there any last things before I click this video?
I'm good. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So same video. This is just another video talking about the coalition between the Black Panther Party and the Young Patriots. And because this is something I'm really going to be pushing, which is class solidarity over over racial lines, ethnicities. So that's something I'm going to be pushing hard. So let's end with this video. The stream will end after the video. We will not be coming back. So have a great rest of your Friday and a great weekend. Here is that video.
Went to this community meeting with the Join organization.
Panthers are here. Panthers are here. Bucktown. Okay. We come here with our hearts open. You cats to supervise us, where we can be of help to you. What do you want in your community? What do you want here? Are you afraid of you want to take berets off, man, or what?
There were a lot of suspicions about the Black Panthers, that they were gun-carrying terrorists.
It was a scenario that I had never been in before. I see some guys with Confederate flag patches. I was a little concerned.
The thing we got to deal with is concept of poverty, man. We got to reach the color thing. See,
the building's not fit for dogs to live in, but humans having to pay $144 a month for the thing. They sell the building to new ownership. What we need is understanding among the people, coalition between the people to stick together and take them owners and put them over here in the lake somewhere.
Right on. Once you realize, man, that your house is funky with rats and roaches, same way a black dude's house is, once you realize that your brother's been brutalized by the cop, the same way the west side and south side is, once you realize that you are paying taxes for the cops to whoop your ass, you're paying them, and you're paying them to kill you, and deal from there. The same thing's happening on the south
Bob
side.
Lee turned out to be quite an organizer. And he says, yeah, my name is Bobby Lee, but my real name is Robert E. Lee. And we all laughed. He said, you got to be kidding me.
Who's here that want to see this thing move? Yeah, man. Right on. But the first thing we talk about now is how we're going to organize. Where are we going to organize? And, we're all going to get run out of here eventually.
That was a good meeting. It was. It got everybody riled up.